Food Service Power Plant Network. What is up? It's Wednesday night. Another day. Here we are. We're still going. It's great. Better to still be going than not still be going, for crying out loud. So you're doing it. Welcome. Epically glad to see you. Tonight, you're going to have a lot of fun. Tom Mitchell, if you don't know him. So Tom and I worked together for years on the MAFSI board, where I'm going to explain I've been coming up with analogies and metaphors of what Tom means to me and sort of what he represented when we were on the board together. He owns a company up in Canada, a rep firm, TLC Marketing. He also is just now stepping into his volunteer presidency role as the MAFSI president. And talk about, he'll have a unique opportunity to partner with all the 5 different families to lead reps and be a part of those conversations. And a really cool role for him. So he's an eternal optimist. Every time I talk to Tom, I just calm, I guess is what I would say. And I think you're going to have a blast tonight. Todd Strader is on. What is up, Todd? Let's find the man, the myth. Tom Mitchell!
Hey.
What's up, brother?
I'm here. How you doing, lad?
I'm doing great. You made it. I'm so glad you made it.
Cheers from Canada.
Cheers from Canada. I love it. I told Allison, go figure, on the night of the American inauguration, we have a Canadian on, but I think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
It's North America. It's one big place,
I love it. I love it. Talk about bringing us together. Allison Cody is on. Goodness gracious. Allison Cody. We love you, Allison. You are the absolute best. The amount of conversations, by the way, Allison, people that heard your conversation in the Power Plant Network and it really moved them was, magical. Tom, welcome to the Food Service Power Plant Network.
Thank you for having me.
You got it, my friend. Okay, so for anyone watching who doesn't, you're the president of TLC Marketing,
yes,
up in Canada, a rep firm.
Yes. You
are stepping into this new role, this volunteer role of the president of MAFSI, yes?
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know you and your story, could you just fill us in on sort of your evolution in food service, your story, and how you sort of ended up where you are now?
Sure. I as a young person, was living in a city disadvantaged financially with little opportunity. So I picked myself up and I moved to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And when I got here, obviously one of the easiest businesses to get into when you're young is the food service industry. And I got on as a part-time bartender at a Fairmont hotel, or what was a Fairmont hotel back in those days. And that was a great experience for me. And they liked me, so they sent me to hotel school. So I went to hotel school and loved that. And the company that sent me didn't have a contract with me, and Weston offered me a better deal. So I went to work for Weston for a while. And then after that, I got involved with the old spaghetti factory. I managed spaghetti factories across Canada for 4 or 5 years, and I wanted to have kids. So being in the restaurant industry is not necessarily conducive to having kids. Yep. So I had an opportunity to buy a rep agency. Didn't even know what a rep agency was. Had no idea. But myself and my mother and my stepfather put our money together and bought an existing rep agency right in the worst recession, 1983.
Okay.
Awful. And from there, it was just one experience after another. I can't tell you how much I love this business.
Tom, what kind of courage does it take to buy something you haven't really done before?
I'd never even met a rep, that was the funny thing.
What'd you think about him once you did?
It was, I always had this in my mind that salespeople were some sort of gimmicky, like it was embarrassing to be a salesperson. That was what was in my mind. Used cars, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And I learned over the years that sales wasn't about taking somebody's money and getting, a product to them. It was developing a relationship. And developing a relationship with the people you're selling for, and developing a relationship with the people you're selling to. And this is the difference between one-time sales and repeat sales. Like when you're a rep, every sale's the next one, right? I mean, you just keep going forward and forward. And that's what intrigued me, and here I am 38 years later, and I'm still loving it. Now my kids are in it too.
Oh, awesome. By the way, we've got friends here. Neil Iverso. What up, boys? What up, Neil? Oh man, it's good to see you, brother. Todd is saying amen, all about relationships. Todd is a regional on the East Coast, I think with Winco.
Right.
And I think you rep Winco, don't you?
We do. We have Winco for the prairies in Western Canada, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Jason Silverman's on. That's Jason. What's up, brother? So fun to see friends. Okay, so maybe we could talk for a minute. So I was in its family business for 4 years. I worked for my dad when I came from teaching. Right. And it was a great experience. Overall, how does it go with your kids? Your kids are in it, yes?
Yes. My daughter's been doing it for 12 years now, and her husband has just recently joined the company. So, I sent him out today to the big install of the big walk-in out at the far-reaching middle of nowhere, and left him on his own. It's his first time, and I'm really proud of him because he's gone out there and he's done a hell of a job. So.
Oh, I love it. That's so great. Tom, you are, I will, when I was thinking of analogies of what you represented to me when we were on the board together, when I would see you, we could be in all kinds of challenging conversations or challenging things we're trying to work through, right? And I would look, we almost often are in a U shape, all the tables, I recall. And I would, in a moment of challenge, or if I would feel some anxiety, I would oftentimes look over at you. And it was almost like I was looking at Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Like you just needed a pipe, frankly. And, kind of like leaning back and legs crossed and okay. And I would always, you were sort of that voice of reason. Just like, this is going to sound cheesy, and I hope this doesn't stick with you for the rest of your career, but almost like a glass of warm milk. Like Tom's just going to calm me down. Whatever's going to happen, if I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to go to Tom. He's going to level my head. He's going to give me a reset. And I don't know, that's sort of how you've been to me. Is that, does that seem right in your own head?
It's funny you say that, because in my inner group, I'm known as the baby whisperer. Like if you've got a baby that doesn't go to sleep, you drop him on my chest and bingo, the guy's gone. And I don't know what it is. It's always been that way. It's a low heart rate or something, whatever. But I've always felt that reason measures the best way to go. Like sit and listen, figure out a plan. Go ahead. Just move forward. Keep moving forward. Yeah. That's all you have to do.
It seems to be a theme, honestly, of a lot of these conversations is just keep moving. Just keep moving forward. And you're great at it. We'll talk more about that later. Kevin with KCL. Hey, Tom, looking forward to spending time with you and Allison at future meetings.
Hey, Kevin.
Heck yes. Must learn more. Who is this? This is Jason Silverman. Must learn more. Love the energy. Always learning, always growing, Jason, for sure. Todd, with you, Tom, Winco wins. Yeah, baby. I love it. Neil thinks it must be a Canadian thing. I mean, Chris Jeans kind of has that, calming effect as well. Sort of that cerebral, just not pensive is not the word, but just thoughtful, and another person I could go to and know that I would find some logical sense and my emotions would come down a little bit.
Our military is even known for being the peacekeepers in the world, and maybe it is a Canadian thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because it's real stinking cold here, and we all learned to be nice to each other because we had to. But it's got to be something like that. But you're right about Chris, though. Chris is great. Chris is the ultimate gatherer of people who joins them all together and makes them feel good about themselves. And I love that about Chris.
Pretty great role to have in the world. Who is Neil, the next president of MAFSI?
Yes, Neil's the vice president now.
Neil is vice president. Neil, here's my picture right now. So like when Tom transitions to you, and if you're in a moment of like, what do I do? Like you can just lay your head on Tom's chest because he's the baby. Like he'll just calm you. The heart rate is low. It's perfect. He'll give you that guidance. Who is this? This is Jessica Marshall. This is so true. He's really good at making everything better. Oh, that is money. The baby whisperer. Me too, Tom. Tom's got that gift. Todd's got that gift as well. You guys share much in common. Okay, so how are things in Canada? COVID speaking, in all that it's happened, COVID, and all that it's done to our industry. How are you feeling any differently from what you can guess based on your U.S. peers?
Well, I don't think there's a comparison. I mean, much larger cities in the States, more people, closer together. Compact situations. I think that's part of the issue in the States. We're way more spread out here. I mean, 37 million people on the second largest country in the world. But the COVID thing has obviously affected everybody, but it's deeply affected the hospitality industry and food service. And, we've worked hard to keep our business going, obviously, just like every other rep in the industry. You pivot, you find things, you look for things, you go after things, but you don't give up. I mean, the food service industry as a whole, the giant piece of it, is the largest employer in North America. It's the place people want to go. They don't have to go. And that's huge. And when this is over, when the COVID finally, starts to wind down and we start living our lives like normal again, you're going to see it come back like a waterfall. Because the pent-up demand is there, but just the idea of going and sitting in a nice restaurant and having a nice meal is just causing people to ache, I think.
I think you're right. I love that phrase. It's the place they want to go, not the place they have to go.
Right.
I've never considered that before, Tom, that, the amount of dollars that are spent in our world by people going to something they simply want, they simply enjoy. It's not like they get sick and they have to go to a doctor. They come to us because it's a place where the soul is healed a little bit. I love that. I think you're right. I think it will storm back. Neil, he's if in doubt, he will certainly call a Canadian. Oh, Neil, I freaking love it. Sandy, our friend Sandy, says there's going to be a line to put their head on Tom's chest at the next MAFSI conference. Tom's going to have his own booth.
I'm there.
That's so great. And this is our buddy Jason. Jason says, yes, Tom, I think he agrees with you on it roaring back. Hey, by the way, for anyone watching, you're welcome to, if you go to a page on your computer or your phone and you go to StreamYard/Facebook, you can enter your name, and that way your name will pop up when you throw things in here. So I love it. Okay. You stepped into this new role as the MAFSI president. Tell me why MAFSI. Well, you don't have to tell me because I was on the board with you. I saw behind the curtain and the value and the power and the heart and the soul that went into what MAFSI did. From your perspective, to anyone watching, why is MAFSI such a valuable association?
It's valuable because of the people involved, and the people are involved because they truly love the business. And I look at an organization like ours where we have 20, 22 people, or large number of people. It's a big board. You remember that there was a lot of people sitting around the table. Very few volunteer organizations can say that. And I think the reason why we all had the common goal of making our industry better. Nobody was sitting at the table trying to better themselves, although better things happen because you learn. But it's more of a sense of accomplishment. You're making your industry better. You're becoming more professional. You're learning. I mean, it's got such a big drawing card, and I am so damn proud to the people of MAFSI are giving me this opportunity. Because I'd like to tell you a little story, and this was kind of fun for me, and it was kind of sad. But I believe it was 1993 or 94, I can't remember exactly what. I was in New Orleans for NAFM, and Rod Collins, a giant in our industry, he just recently died, by the way. He invited me to go to a cocktail party for this MAFSI group. It was a group, an industry group, and I thought, sure, I'll go along. So I went along, and I went to this meeting in the New Orleans Convention Center. Had a great time, met lots of people, and then I found out that New Orleans was going to be where NAFM was going to be when I got made president of MAFSI. And I just thought this was going to be so cool because it might even be in the same room. And that just would have been so neat. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And hopefully we'll all be in Orlando in the not too distant future.
Gosh, I hope so. I hope we're sharing a drink or a meal there together. And I've never been to New Orleans. But that's cool that was your first introduction and someone pulled you in to say, hey, look at this neat thing that's happening. Here, who's this? This is Ben. Hey, Ben, how are you? It's good to see you.
Hey, Ben.
Buddy is on. I love it. Hey, buddy. Todd Strader is saying, feeling inspired by, I think, that story and the connection to that moment. And that was 1993, you said?
I think it was 93 or 94. I can't remember. There was 2 New Orleans NAFMs in the 90s. There was one in 98 for sure. I'm pretty sure. And the thing is, it was around that time it moved from September to February or January. I can't remember which. And so I think there was actually a short year or whatever there was between 2 of them. And it went from odd numbers to even numbers, whatever happened in there. But that was during the 90s.
I love it. Well, I know that we've had Dion from NAFM and Rob Connolly, president of NAFM, and I know they're working their tails off. And thanks to you both and your committees and everyone trying to pull off this NAFM show, which we hope will sort of be our coming back together party.
Yes.
Which would be amazing. Our friend Allison. Oh, I wish that would have happened. Orlando will be fun, though. I would say anywhere we get to see friends again will be incredible.
That's what we're missing the most.
Who's this? This is D. Deirdre Flynn. We love that you'll be with us.
Deirdre.
Orlando Tom, 1993.
There you go.
Love it. How about that? Okay, cool. D, welcome. It's good to see you, friend. Okay, who's this? This is Deborah Hibbs. Practically lived in New Orleans in the 90s. I don't remember anything either.
Well, it's funny she says that. That was said because that was it was the next one. It was the second New Orleans NAFM. A couple of the reps that I competed with, and somehow we can do this in Canada. We rented Snug Harbor in New Orleans, which was owned by Ellis and Winton Marcellus, and it was a 45-seat show bar. We had the whole place to ourselves. We had Ellis and Winton on the stage with I think Ellis's youngest son playing the drums, and it was just our group of customers and the group of the band and drinks, and it was just a wonderful evening. Like, I love New Orleans. I'd go back there in a moment.
That sounds really fun. Who's this? This is this is our buddy Rob, the president of NAFM. Looking forward to meeting you and Tom in Orlando. Awesome.
How you doing?
Gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. How long have you been how long have you been on the MAFSI board?
I guess if I work backwards, it's got to be about 10 years now. 8 to 10 years, yeah.
Anything you look back on and say, you know what, something we accomplished is one of my most proud moments in MAFSI. Anything particular that you accomplished there?
I think FS 101 is one of the biggest accomplishments that I was involved in with a number of other people. Certainly no single person did that, but I think it was the first time where we defined an actual training program that crossed industries. It was good for the dealers, it was good for the manufacturers, it was good for everybody, because it just gave everybody a taste of what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. And I think that's one of our proudest achievements so far.
Way to go. That was, I remember I was on a different committee, but watching you all tackle that FS 101 it just seemed like such a monstrous project and such a real value in terms of bringing people up to speed who just come in, to the industry and need to learn, or just come into a particular side of the industry and need to learn. It was incredible. Who's this? This is Sandy. NOLA's such an amazing city. Love it there. Uh, Allison, Sandy, thanks for your comments. Allison saying Tom was the head of SS 101. He's too modest. Well,
Okay. I want to be fair here. I'm an ideas guy. Okay, I rely on those people that make things happen, because I'll come up with the idea and I'll support you and I'll make it work. But I need those people that can go and drive straight forward and make it happen. Nobody can do everything. I mean, everybody has a place, and once you figure out your place, what you're good at, where you belong in a group, you can just make everybody else better, and you better buy it.
Heck yeah. I think knowing your gifting in terms of where some of your strengths are and where some of your passions lie enabled you to not have to feel like you have to be great at all things. And then, to your point, lifting up other people. This was something that Dee talked about in her conversation. Making other people shine is oftentimes the gift of a real leader, is wanting everyone around you and saying, how do I put you in a position to really thrive right here and really shine? I want to make everyone here look good.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I think you're great at that, Tom. Sandy is saying FS 101 is a wonderful program. Great job. Awesome. Lots of, it's got to feel, those moments have to feel good to contribute in that way.
It does. It does. What amazes me too is in this time where volunteerism is falling off, like, I don't think volunteerism was taught as much to young people over the last 20 years as it was maybe 40 years ago or 50 years ago. And, the idea of doing something and not getting paid, so it offends some people in a lot of ways. But if you look at it from the point of view of that, if you offer your time and you offer your abilities, you're going to make something better and it'll pay you back. I mean, karma's in the universe. You got to go out there and grab some.
I love it. Well, I think you said something earlier too. I'm going to hit Todd's comment real quick. That's so true. We make each other better. You said something that everyone on the board, and I would agree with you, people weren't there to better themselves, but inherently by choosing to serve, and choosing to serve, typically it was people of really high character that were on that, right? I mean, just great people in the industry that you're choosing to serve together. You're inherently learning from others, and you're a part of conversations you wouldn't have been otherwise. And you're hearing how other people think and run their businesses. I mean, there was so much, it was about giving, it was about volunteering and serving the industry, but you couldn't help but grow as a person and as a business person and as a professional by being there.
Absolutely. And you know what I really love about MAFSI is I can go to a MAFSI conference, I can go to a MAFSI board meeting, I can go anywhere where there's a MAFSI group together, and I can find the rep in Florida or California or North Dakota for the same lines I represent. Yep. And I can talk to them and say, how are you doing it? What are you doing? How's your market reacting? And that to me was probably one of the most fulfilling things you could get out of any organization. I mean, it was just, you can call it networking, you can call it whatever you like, but to have access to another opinion that wasn't the factory's necessarily was invaluable.
Oh, I agree. There's so much we learn from one another. I mean, some of those people on that board will be my friends for life. I know it. Figuring out what are the high moments going on in your part of the world, and what are the challenges, and how do we solve them together. Jason says, Jason would love to chat tomorrow. Hit me up. We'll find a way. I'm sure that'd be great. Chris Jeans, this is the best conversation. Tom and Jason start a weekly chat. We're going to call it Tom and Jason's warm glass of milk.
All right.
Is what it's going to be.
Like Bring out the babies.
I love it. I love it. Chris, it's great to see you, brother. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Okay, obviously our industry is going through a lot right now, and lots of unique challenges and so forth. What is it like, from your perspective, being charged with an opportunity to lead in a new way in the midst of a period of time of incredible challenge in the industry?
Well, there's this old joke about the Chinese symbol that, how does it work? Anyways, it waters down to opportunity and danger. And that's where we are. I mean, right now, there's a lot of danger. I mean, people are going out of business. Industries are being affected. Things are not good. But on the other hand, there's opportunity. And one of the opportunities that I believe is going to come out of this is to realign the food service industry. I said it in a memo I wrote the other day, that on LinkedIn, I think it was, there's basically two kinds of food service. There's the kind you go to eat at, and there's the kind you want to go to eat at, if you know what I mean. You know, like one's just getting food to feed yourself, and the other one's entertaining yourself and having a good time. But it's still the food service industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, the hardest hit group is the ones you want to go to. And I find that interesting. Like a lot of the chains are surviving drive-throughs, takeouts, deliveries, and all that. But that really nice 45-seat boîte downtown that you love to take your wife to, they're in trouble. And that's sad. And I'm hoping we can recover from that and save as many as possible. But overall, I think the food service industry is going to come back bigger, stronger, and better when this is over. It needed a reset. And I guess we could look at it that way. I didn't think the reset would be nearly this big or dangerous, but a reset, you know, just to get back to what's really important.
So here, I'll hit you with another question following up on that. What would you say is really important?
That we start to understand, you know, what the food industry is about. It's a motherhood issue for starters. I mean, serving food, other than giving somebody a bed with a roof over their head, it's the most integral part of life. And the joy I had when I was in the restaurant business, I mean, when we were rocking on a Saturday night at the Toronto Spaghetti Factory, 600 seats in the main restaurant, 100 out in the patio, 100 in the lounge, and we had a bar down the street as well. And it was great. It was like orchestrating a giant symphony. You know, you had everything going. The kitchen staff was firing on all cylinders. And to walk back into that and say, okay, you can make this more efficient. You can make this cleaner. You can make this better. That's just as good. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
I love it, Tom. You're right. As foundational as putting a roof over someone's head. You're always making it better. This is awesome. When you are moments, look, you're a positive person. This I know about you. You make decisions, you think through things, you make a fairly quick decision, and you move forward. We talked about it earlier. But you get down just as we all do. You've got moments of grief, of fear, of etc. In those moments, what do you do to pick yourself up, to put you in a better state of mind, to get you motivated? Do you have anything you go to in those times?
I have an iPod with 2,700 pieces of music on it. I strap that on and I get my favorite shoes on, and I go down to the walking paths. We have 250 kilometers of walking paths in Calgary along the rivers and through the hills. And I just go for a walk, usually anywhere from 6 to 10 kilometers, depending on how bad things are. And between the music and the energy and the walk and the air and everything else, I can pick myself back up real quick.
When you're listening to music, are you just getting in that vibe? Are you getting in that zone? Are you also thinking? Is the music, generating thoughts and creativity at the same time?
Have you ever heard of a term called burning the ashes, or spreading the ashes?
No.
It's when you have trouble, when you have problems, work's getting you down, you have stress, you develop ash, from the energy that's burned up inside you, and that ash just weighs you down. And so that's why, whether it's on my bike or on foot, I go and spread those ashes out, and you're breathing hard and you're going and you just think about all those things that were driving you nuts. And it's amazing how fast you can dump that out and move on, because that's all it is dumping it out and moving on.
That is a beautiful analogy. I've never heard it before, but it would make sense. Things that are chewing up or burning me up become ash inside and can weigh you down.
Yeah.
Um, do you walk a lot?
I walk a lot. I walk almost every day. If I'm not doing resistance exercises, I'm walking 6 to 8 kilometers a day.
Goodness
Sorry,
gracious.
five to 6 miles for your audience.
I was gonna say, come on, Tom. I'm not a. I can barely handle 50 and 10.
Yeah.
Someone who is this? Jason wants in. Sign me up. There's something about walks. Um, about getting out. I mean, we've had so many friends. Rob Connolly, who's running quite often, and just the amount of thinking that happens that takes place. He would say that his team would get nervous every time he said he went for a run because they'd be like, "Oh, what's going to come up when you go for a run? What's going to get turned up?" And there's something about being outside, moving your body that is healing for the soul.
Yes.
It is. Todd Strader. Music does indeed free our minds. I love it.
It's true.
And I love that there's at different times there's different places you can go to. There's different types of music that generate different things in me. There's moments in the day where classical is where I go. And then there's moments in the day where it's acoustic, or there's moments where it's 70s rock, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Depending on what vibe I need to get to. Allison is saying, love that, Tom. Spread the ashes. I think that's going to be a theme maybe from the night. By the way, anyone who wants, you are you are totally able to ask Tom a questions. I've got a whole list of questions here, but if you've got something you want to pick Tom's brain on, go ahead, throw it in the group, and we'll bring it up and make sure Tom answers.
Sure.
Any other, aside from the walking and the healing that is for you, any other disciplines that you live by, that you swear by, that you're like, you know what, I always make sure my bed's made before I leave in the morning, or anything that helps you succeed as a leader in what you're doing?
One of the biggest things is I quit consuming alcohol about 15 years ago.
Okay.
And I mean, I can tell you war stories from back into the 80s of NAFMs and everything else. This industry was built on alcoholic endeavors for the people involved, and it was a big thing. But the funny thing is as you get a little older, you start to look at your own physical health, and B, where it's going to lead to. And, like, I've watched too many really good people damage themselves personally, damage their careers, just because the influence of alcohol and going out with the gang, and and don't get me wrong, I'm not a prude that's saying everybody should do that. I'm just saying that, if you're going out with a crowd once in a while, great. If you're going out with a crowd every second night, there might be something you want to talk about, I mean, and so I did that myself. I didn't do it for any reason that I felt I had a problem or anything. I just did it because it made me feel better. And I like the idea of getting up and waking up in the morning ready to go, instead of spending 2 hours discussing my hangover with a group of people.
Sure. I've never enjoyed the feeling of feeling sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And so that's been one of the main things that prevents me from probably going over the top in any capacity with that is I hate not being present in my head, being just really distracted. But I love that. What are you thankful for?
Just being here. I mean, I have a best friend, and he and I have been best friends for 50 years, almost 50 years. And, every once in a while we get together and we just look at each other and go, God damn it. We live in, and I'll say this pejoratively too, because this is Canada and the United States. It's not just either one of us. We live in a fabulous place. We live in a place with so much opportunity and so much ability that if you're not thankful for being here, you need to talk to somebody. It's as simple as that. The fact that you look at the rest of the world and how people live and how people work and what they have for expectations, everything's here. Yeah. You just have to go out and get it. So I'm thankful for being here.
I love it. It's like anything, you see what you want to see, and you're 100% right. I mean, there's an opportunity for pretty much everyone, and you can climb as high as you want, and take the bull by the horns of whatever that looks like, whatever bull you want to ride.
Yeah.
And I love your perspective.
I mean, you used to be called, I mean, the American dream was a euphemism for it, I think, at one time. But I don't think that's fair, because that makes it sound like it's waiting for everybody and all you have to do is show up. And that's not what it is. You have to go in. What was the line I heard at a psychology conference once? It was show up, pay attention, and don't be attached to the outcome. I mean,
Huh.
really, when you think about it, that's what everything is. And if you're not attached to the outcome, and you can bend and be flexible and move to the next stage, I think that opportunity will always be there.
Heck yeah. Do you go to a lot of psychology conferences?
I at one time did. I studied it as a minor in school. Um, the human condition has always amazed me, and I just love to sit and look at people and try to figure them out, and then talk to them and see how close I was.
I love it. Our buddy Allison, detach from the outcome. I love that. I was talking to a friend the other day about goals, and he was nervous to set goals
Mhm.
because he might not hit them.
Right.
And he had set one years ago and it didn't work out. And so he's been gun shy. And we talked about, it's really not the goal. I mean, the goal that you're after. It's not the gift really is in what you learn about yourself in pursuing whatever you're after, whatever way you want to grow, whatever that thing is that you want to become or attain, or whatever that is. You learn so much more about yourself in just pushing in discipline, etc. I love it, Allison. Good. Thanks for saying that. Todd, having been a rep principal in my past life, what do you see in the future for being a manufacturer's rep? It's not like it used to be.
It's not like it used to be. Okay, I love that line because it's not like it used to be by any stretch of the imagination. And as a matter of fact, the task I have right now on the committees is the Rep of the Future 2025. And
Okay.
yeah, lots has changed. But, lots has changed for the good. Some things have changed for the bad. It's change. You adapt to change. You have to adapt to change. And it will change. But at the end of the day, two things are going to always be there and be the two most important things: knowledge and relationships.
Hmm.
If you carry both of those, it doesn't matter. You will be successful. Go out and learn as much as you possibly can. You should never be standing in front of your customer or the person you're working with or anything else with a dumb look on your face about a product that you work with. You should always know exactly what you're talking about. And that's the knowledge part of it. The rest, go meet people, shake hands, talk to people, go to things, get involved. That's one of the things about volunteering. I mean, when you go out and do work, you meet people who are working with you. When you go out and do volunteer, it's everybody chose to be there. I mean, nobody is there by force. Well,
Right.
except for Allison, maybe. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You're there there's some benevolence that's pushing you forward. There's some hope or some mission that you've all agreed to without knowing one another that puts you in that place together.
That's right.
Um, who is this? This is Chris. This is our buddy Chris. You carry both, Tom. That's knowledge and relationships. You
Thank
know
you.
what? If you're committed to learning, yeah, Chris, I love the encouragement, and you're right. When you're committed to learning and growth, I think our buddy Rob Connolly said that curiosity and the desire to learn is the fountain of youth. And when you're willing to learn and grow and evolve and adapt and develop, and you're committed to wanting the best for other people and be in a relationship,
Yep.
it's hard not to thrive when
It's
you're
hard.
willing for those.
It's funny. When I was working for the spaghetti factory, the gentleman, well, the family that owned the business, the president of the company, his name was Lee Poulos. And he was a psychiatrist and a psychologist. He had multiple degrees. And he basically taught all of the management that worked for him the idea of making decisions. And this is one of the hardest things people have to do in life, is make decisions. And it's usually big decisions. You know, I'm going to buy that new house, or I'm going to change my job, or I'm going to marry that girl. You know, whatever that big decision is. And that's fine. Big decisions are actually easy. Life-changing decisions that are going to work involve millions of little decisions. And the only way you can make those decisions is if you can picture in your mind yourself in whatever situation it is. And then your mind will start making those little decisions. And it's amazing how fast you can get from A to B if you just let that happen.
Oh, Tom, it's like you and I like have been doing this for years. I mean, all the time in the community, we talk about the power of sort of visualization, of being able to see yourself in the future, and how the idea of motivation today is oftentimes generated by your ability to have a compelling future vision of yourself that you're moving forward in.
Yep.
And then without that compelling vision, without something that's pulling you forward that excites you, it's hard to generate motivation right now. Gosh, Tom, I love it. Okay. Knowledge is Tony Smith saying knowledge is key. Heck yeah, there's power in knowing. Todd Strader, truly believe in reps. No one has better relationships or better listeners than manufacturers' reps. Todd, well said. I love it. Good insight there. This is our friend Sandy. Visualization and just keep moving. Heck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got two believers here, Sandy, in that. Preach, my friend. This is Tony. Tony, working for a manufacturer for 16 years, our relationships with our reps was paramount to our success.
Yeah.
Heck yes. That's where I met Tony actually years ago.
Yeah.
Reps are the eyes and ears on the ground, right? And that ability to build trust between a manufacturer and a rep is so key to build that connection. I both professional and personal. I mean, my strongest professional relationships I had with my manufacturers when I was a rep were ones where I could break bread with them on a personal level too, where we knew each other in some capacity and could trust one another.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, the what was it? What was the line? One of my dealers did it for me. Every once in a while, you get really good things happen to you by accident, right? And I just got a new sales manager from one of the biggest factories I represented, a walk-in company. And I took him around to visit the dealers, and we went into one. And, a guy had a relationship for a lot of years. And so the factory person turned to the guy and said, so what kind of walk-ins do you buy? And he looked at the manufacturer and said, what kind of walk-ins does Tom sell? You can't pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's relationship gold right there. That's he trusts you. That's what he's saying. I trust this person. Yeah. So whatever he's got, I'm in. Todd says we are family. Heck yes. I think we're realizing that, Todd, now maybe more than ever when Tom talked about, what really matters. It's I think we're realizing that connection more than ever. This is our buddy Mike Klosterman.
Hey, Mike.
Tom is truly one of the best out there. Love the chat. Big Mike, great to see you, brother. Glad to have you here, of course.
Kansas City.
Heck yeah. Many MAFSI meetings, all of us together. Awesome, priceless, Todd says. I love it. Biggest challenge in your life. Not the biggest challenge. Something you've overcome. Something you've overcome, Tom, in your story that taught you had more than maybe you realized.
Overcome. I think one of the darkest periods a number of years ago, I was divorced, and that changed everything. My wife and I had actually worked together in the business, and it was incredibly hard and soul sucking, I think is the best term I could use for it. And it took me quite a while, but then I realized that, my kids were important. I have to look after that. My life's important, and my business was important. And sort of pick myself up, dusted myself off, and move forward. Because you're going to have rocks dropped on you all your life. I mean, you're not going to dodge it, and you just have to make sure that you have the mental strength and the physical strength and everything else it takes to withstand it and keep going forward.
Heck yeah. Is that something, I mean, I'm assuming that challenge you went through, it's a thing of your past. It's not something you carry as an emotional backpack moving forward, those challenges.
Not even once. Nope.
I love it. I love it. That'll teach your resolve for sure. Any person in your story, Tom, who believed in you, who encouraged you, who was your champion, your supporter, the one that said, Tom, you've got what it takes?
I got really lucky when I first got into the business, because I didn't have anybody to show me the ropes. Okay, for starters, we bought a firm, and the people that were involved literally went away in a matter of days. And so we took this business over, and I went around and I started talking to dealers and, just kind of feeling my way out. I've never had trouble talking to people. I mean, I was in the restaurant business. So that was easy. But when I got to the manufacturers, when I got to go to the plants and talk to people, that's where I met the people that made the biggest impact on me. And Keith Smith from Keating and Jack Gruby from Wolf Range were the two that just giants in the industry. But they took me under their wing and taught me the difference between Shinola and what. And just basically, what was Jack Gruby's favorite line? Because Wolf was a top of the line product. What was it? Monkeys can sell on price. That was his line. And he said, you got to be better than that. And, it was just, he was 76 or 74 years old when he left Wolf Range, because he just loved it. He sat on the California school board, the California hospital boards, all of them. He volunteered for everything. He was totally engaged in the industry. Just an incredible human being. And I've always felt, if you want to get better, hang out with people that are better than you, that are more successful than you, that are maybe smarter than you. That'll lift your boat.
Heck yeah. Level up, they call it, I think. If there's any place you want to be that you haven't experienced yet, go find people that have experienced that and go pick their brain, buy them a cup of coffee. There are every year I pick 5 people I want to get to know better. And there are always people who are a level up than me in one area of my life. Maybe it's relationships and I want to figure that out better. Maybe they're an incredible husband, better than I think I am for whatever reason, or a better business person or whatever. And you find them. There's yet to be a person I've ever called and said, hey, would you mind, like, if I could hang out with you a little bit, if I could buy you a cup of coffee, if that were okay. And, all that, who's ever said, I'm not really interested. Yeah. So to anyone watching, go find some people in your life and level up in whatever area you hope to grow in. Sandy, yes. Surround yourself with people smarter than you. Heck, yes.
Absolutely.
And I think the ability to do that comes from oftentimes some level of confidence that you're not here. It's not me versus everyone else. It's not, this isn't a giant competition. I know who I am. I'm okay not being the smartest person in the room, and I'm willing to learn from others. And we're all going to provide value.
Absolutely.
Along the way. Heck yes. You bet. Tony says, Jared Brandt is on. What's up, Jared? Our brother, Neil. Neil, hence the reason I serve on the MAFSI board. The people in the room lift me up both personally and professionally. Neil, exact same reason for me. Being a part of that board and the friendships with Tom, with you, etc., were certainly a leveling up for me, and continue to be both a leveling up and simply friendship, which I'm epically grateful for. To have mentors in our lives is a godsend.
That's right.
Heck yes, Todd. A couple of silver linings you've seen during this unique time in our world.
The amount of time I've spent with my family. The amount of time I've spent with the people that I wouldn't have spent as much time with, and one of those would be the MAFSI group, because it's really interesting what happened, and this has really made, I think, the organization stronger. Where we used to meet twice a year, and then there'd be the NAFM show, or there'd be the NRA, or whatever, and you'd see people a couple times a year. We've been on Zoom now, or Teams, every second week. I mean, and whether it be in committees or groups, I've gotten to know people better. I've gotten a better understanding of a lot of things we do. I've got to see people really shine, and that wouldn't have happened if this pandemic hadn't happened. And I think, if anything, that's going to be one of the residuals of this, that we're going to realize that we need to spend more time with each other. I think, and I know for myself, I can do this too. We get very, not aloof, but you feel like you've got to get away from the noise and just be on your own, which you do every once in a while, but not too much, and when you find out the power of other people and the relationships with other people, it just makes life better. And hanging out with my family a lot more, we've become way closer. I mean, when you can do anything you want, your ship's in the night, right? When you're stuck together, you gotta play a game. You gotta sit down and watch the same show. You gotta whatever.
Heck yeah.
Every meal's together almost. So
I would agree with you. I would echo all of that. I would say that's been the gift in our world as well. The amount of Mancala games we play, and checkers, and all that kind of jazz. Okay, Tom. Just a little bit of encouragement to you from some MAFSI voices, the voices of presidents past, and about why you are the right person to step into this time in history to lead MAFSI. I'll give you one from Allison. Your knowledge is second to none. Talk about knowledge. We talked about knowledge and relationships. Tom is the go-to person for many in the industry on complex issues. He's always willing to lend a hand on day-to-day issues or the 30,000-foot view issues, which I think speaks to a lot of our conversation. She sent me that before our conversation. From our friend Chris Jeans, Tom is a true leader in the Canadian rep community and inspires our chapter's membership by being one of the most committed volunteers MAFSI has ever seen. We've been lucky up here, and his dedication to MAFSI will soon be felt across North America. Nobody will work harder to help the whole FENS industry succeed. Plus this. I don't know if you can see this picture, Tom. Can you see that picture?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What was happening there? Talk to me about that moment in time.
Oh, that was great. That, the fun part about MAFSI, I mean, there's work and there's meetings and it can be tedious sometimes, but we were filming a video, and that was for the conference in Florida. And we did a Back to the Future. Garrett, Chris Jeans was in that as well. He was Michael J. Fox's role in okay. Back to the Future, and Jeff
Couch
was the crazy professor, and I was supposed to be an 80s pop star of some sort. That's what the hair was all about. But I mean, we went and got the car. Like, we got an actual car that was just like the Back to the Future car, and filmed the whole thing. And, it was a lot of fun to do. And that's the kind of thing I've always enjoyed about this organization, is you can really be crazy, because you really, until you go and stick your neck out and you can laugh at yourself, you have a hard time dealing with the public laughing potentially at you. But once you can laugh at yourself, you're gold.
Heck yeah. I love it. You're preaching. From our friend Jeff Couch. Tom is a terrific leader, business person, and advocate of the rep business model. Tom has always demonstrated the ability not only to listen, but to be a strong contributor in getting others to get out their own ideas. Tom is the absolute right person to guide MAFSI into the future. I
Thanks.
love it. Thanks, Couch. Thanks, Chris. And
Thanks.
lastly, from your predecessor, Mr. Kevin Eaton,
Uh,
I'm so happy for Tom. Tom will be an amazing leader for MAFSI. His candor, humor, and level headed approach is exactly what is needed for this job. MAFSI is lucky to have him step up, and I can't wait to see his ideas take shape.
Thank you, Kevin. And by the way, Kevin, I'm relying you as chairman of the board to help me with this, okay? So you don't get to run away for another 2 years.
You're stuck. You're still in. You're still in.
Exactly.
Todd's saying you got to hang out in a DeLorean to film that. That
Yeah, we
is
did. A working DeLorean, and it had all the stuff on it, just like the movie.
that is radical. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
That was Phoenix. Sorry, it was Phoenix, not Florida. That's right.
okay. Phoenix, Tom. Okay, I get one more question to ask you. What do I want it to say? Okay, here's where I'm going. It's kind of we might have to think through it, but I heard it said once that oftentimes when we want to get to know people, we ask them what they believe, right? What do you believe? And we figure out their. But when you really want to get to know someone, don't ask them what they believe. Ask them what they love. And I was thinking about this question today because we've got the inauguration today. There's a fair amount of divisiveness, right, in the States. And I went to a training on values once. Mm-hmm. And this woman, she lives in British Columbia, I believe, Kathleen Seeley. She said, you know what, when you've got a moment of conflict and you want to bring people together, so companies bring her in to do this. She goes, don't ask everybody what they believe. So if you bring in a rabbi and a priest into a room and you ask them what they believe, they're going to believe two different things about, all this kind of stuff. But if you ask a rabbi and a priest what they value, oftentimes those responses will be the same. And so I think that's why I ask you in a moment of wanting to continue to be brought together and realize we all have a lot in common. The question for you is, Tom, what do you love?
What do I love? I love my kids. I love my grandchildren. I love my wife. I love what I do. I'm blessed with love. I mean, that sounds corny, but it's true. And sometimes you just need to stop and take a look. I love music. I love my best friend. I love all my friends. I love the country I live in. I love to travel in the country you live in. I don't know. It's all of those things.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of love that surrounds you, and it's a pretty good place to be.
You can't get through life without somebody loving you. It's just that important.
Heck yeah. I'm glad it's a focus and that you find it in a lot of places. Tom, I really want to thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see as MAFSI continues to develop and grow and tackle the challenges and partner with the 5 families, some of who are on tonight. Yep. And, we all really, really wish you the best in that role and want to thank you for choosing to serve.
Thanks, Jason. I really appreciate this. And this was fun. Anytime you want to do this, you call me up, okay?
I love it, Tom. You're awesome. Who's this? Love the love for your family. I don't know who that is, but it's pretty great to... who's this? Allison saying, so amazing. Thank you both. Allison, we love you, friend. Todd Strader, not corny. Speak from the heart. Yeah, baby. You know it. This was just the best hour spent. Thanks, gentlemen. We are glad you are here. I love, this has become my favorite night of the week. Todd Strader says, thank you, Tom and Jason. We all need you, Todd. We need you. We're doing it together. Certainly that's why you're a part of this community and contributing in all the great ways you are. So thank you, my friend. Our friend Sandy. What a great conversation. Love this. What a wonderful note to end on. Bless with love. Heck yes, my friend. A great place to end. So to the entire Food Service Power Plant Network, listen, from Tom and I, lots of love to you. continue to pursue that growth, your own growth in your life of knowledge of ways you want to develop and grow. And, whatever that is, I would take Tom's advice to have that future vision of you. Close your eyes and see you in a future place, or whatever that is, something that motivates you now or gets you excited or lights that fire within. If you find yourself in a less than inspired or down place, I would say follow Tom's lead and go Google what 8 kilometers is in miles, and then go do that in a day. And put some headphones on, listen to some music that moves you, that touches you. Go walk around a lake or down by, whatever. Go walk around your neighborhood. Get moving.
Don't walk around LA airport. I did that once. It was a terrible mistake.
You didn't get arrested, did you?
No, almost.
I would think. So everyone, keep going. Listen, let us encourage you. You're still doing this. We are almost a year in and you're still going. You're still moving forward. So give yourself a pat on the back. We're here to say, way to stink and go. Let's continue to do it together. If you've got people in your world that need a safe place, food service people, to connect, to learn positive mindset tools, to be encouraged and supported and lift them up, you're welcome to invite them in. We've had a ton of people inviting people in the last few days, which has been great. But we're here to support the industry as a whole. Whatever role they're in, we want them to know they're not alone, is one of the greatest goals, right? You've got people. And if you find yourself in a particularly tough spot right now, we've been there. Tom talked about in his journey, times when he was in a particularly tough spot. I've certainly had those times in my life. It's a part of the journey. And you keep moving, to Tom's point. You keep moving forward, just walking. That light will come that you're looking for, that you're needing. It just does when you keep moving. You commit to some of these principles that Tom and I have talked about tonight. So keep going. Everybody, we're grateful for you. We will see you next week, and lots of love. Be well. Talk soon.
Take care.